And thank you for staying with us. Sheltering Arms is an organization aiming to foster a society where every child and family they serve will have the opportunity to succeed and thrive. They address the effects of social inequity in the most challenged communities in New York City. Their innovative programs and compassionate services also measurably enhance the education, well-being, and development of children, their families, as well as communities. Joining us now to share a little bit more is the CEO of Sheltering Arms, Elizabeth McCarthy. And Elizabeth, good to have you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, and thank you for being with us here. And so for somebody who doesn't know a little bit about Sheltering Arms, please give us a little bit more of a description of the work that you do.
Absolutely. So Sheltering Arms has been around for almost 200 years. We were founded in 1823. And it really, as you said, have tried to work in some of the communities that face the most challenges. So whether that is because new immigrants who are just arriving here fleeing a country from violence, or for families who for generations have been stuck in poverty due to things like systemic racism and lack of opportunity. So we have really been working in those communities to try to build, not only we have early education programs and after school programs, but to really address those traumas and the mental health that goes along with that, and really kind of be a resource for all needs that families have. So someone may come to us for an education program or because their child's involved in the juvenile justice system, but we want to help them address all the needs that their family may have to be able to help them move forward.
When we talk about mental health services, very important and it's critical to the work that you do. But I know COVID-19 has also had an impact on the work that you do, particularly in this area. Talk to us about how COVID-19 has had an impact.
Yeah, I mean, for better and for worse, interestingly, because while our mental health clinic opened in 2019 on 149th Street, now is seeing people in person again, but obviously wasn't for months. But we did really expand the telehealth that we do, and found that for some people, it actually worked better. Like a lot of our youth who really honestly don't want to sit in a therapist's office and talk to a therapist, a 17-year-old boy, but is more comfortable on his phone, opening up to somebody, talking to somebody, is always more likely to show up because there's not, a million things that can happen on the way to get there. So I think it will change the way we provide mental health going forward. Not that we will ever stop doing in-person work, because that's important. But for some families, for some young people, having the option of telehealth has actually really helped and expanded what we do. And for some of our teachers who, they can see the family more sometimes on Zoom than they necessarily see them if they're just dropping off children off, and they can kind of pick up on mental health issues in the family and start to talk to those families about perhaps getting some help.
Yeah, that's interesting because most people say, well, COVID has impacted us in a negative way, but you're actually seeing some positive signs come out of this too, huh?
We are some. I mean, believe me, the devastation has been incredible, as you know, in all of the communities we work in. But we have seen some silver linings, and that's been nice. And we need those, right? So we kind of really have to hold on to those these days.
Yeah. And I mean, when we talk about what's going on right now, one of the other issues that we're facing right now is food insecurity. And I know that you guys are really boots on the ground in terms of helping to give some assistance for families and communities who've been affected by this. So a little bit about your work.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've always, at our early childhood programs, at our after school programs, seen families with food insecurity and have helped them, but it was a little more on a one-off basis. We knew families were struggling. We would, send the child home on a Friday with a backpack full of food, knowing that their family would need it for the weekend. But what we've seen in the past, 8 months is just a whole different level. The number of people who literally don't have food on their table if they don't get help from community organizations has been really devastating. So we work at Junior High School 22 in the Bronx, where we run the community school there. But we've taken the opportunity, we've actually partnered with a number of organizations. The Bronx Charismatic Prayer Fellowship is one that's been really helpful. And we run a food pantry there. And we've also done diaper drives and formula drives. And we've gotten donations of like hygiene products, because those are all things that when a family can barely pay the rent or put food on the table, trying to think they can, pay for diapers, pay for soap and toothpaste and those things is just, those are really out of their reach. So it's something we want to keep doing. It's really expanded our work, and frankly, kind of goes back to the mental health. The more people we meet and have outreach and they get to know us and trust us in communities where trust is so important, it can help us help people in other ways as well after we get through the crisis, which hopefully we will get through the crisis.
Oh, we will. We believe sooner rather than later. I mean, that's the hope that we've been having. Talked to another guest earlier. We talked about having light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
because certainly we have been in this tunnel and we definitely need to see some light. I want to talk about another part of your work, a scope of your work, and that's early childhood services. Right there in the South Bronx, you guys are doing early childhood services. Talk to us about what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, so altogether, we have 9 sites altogether. We'll be expanding in July to even more sites, mostly in the northern Manhattan and the Bronx. We've seen our families have really stuck to it and tried to help their children get an education during this time, which is not easy. You have parents working, trying to figure out childcare, trying to get the technology they need. And so we've tried to help with all of that. Sometimes that meant, hand delivering iPads or laptops and hooking up Wi-Fi in people's homes. A lot of the families either don't speak English or are not at all computer literate, so really needed our help, even if they had the technology, just to sign on. And it's so important. Those early years, it's less about formal education that kids need, but they need the socialization, they need the exposure to language. And so we've really done a lot. Now we have a combination. Some kids come in person, some are doing remote, some do a hybrid. But even in the months where we couldn't do anything in person, really tried several times a day to check in with kids. It's hard with very young children because they don't want to sit and stare at a screen, and we don't really want them sitting staring at a screen. So it was often more about helping the parents. We'd send home packages of activities and things like art supplies and stuff so that a parent could see an activity on Zoom and then do it with their child and sort of become that child's teacher, which we know parents are anyway, but give them a little more formal help in that way. And I've never seen kids so excited as when they get on a Zoom and see their friends, or when they actually were able to come back in person. It's really just incredibly heartwarming. The kids were so happy to see each other, so happy to see their teachers. It's been really nice.
Yeah, this isolation has been, highly impactful for everybody, but particularly for children who really rely on socialization in order to make it. So to be able to socialize and see their friends, I'm sure had to be very impactful. We got a few seconds left, but before we move to 20, I want to just fast forward to 2021. We're almost here, right? So talk to us about what you got planned for 2021.
Yeah, really trying to learn from, as I said, the silver linings that we did see during this. And so expanding a lot of the telehealth that we do. And not only telehealth, but we're doing more mental health out in the community. So if a family can't come to the clinic, we can go to them. We can now do mental health services. We have a clinic out in Far Rockaway. Also, one therapist told me taking walks on the boardwalk with the young teenagers is like the best setting for therapy for a lot of them. So really just trying to think more creatively about the work that we do and keeping to try to reach the community, and then the concrete needs. I don't think the food insecurity is going away in a hurry. I think you're right, we're going to get through this, but I think a lot of those needs are going to go on for a long time. So we're trying to figure out the partnerships we can get, volunteers, anyone who's interested in volunteering, I'll put in a little plug.
Yes, please quickly, yes.
It's been great to have so many people to come to our food banks. Actually, our young people who are in foster care have been volunteering at our food bank. It's amazing to see this one group home we have for teenage boys who come and volunteer at the food bank. It's an amazing thing for both sides. But we'd love to have more community involvement and really just keep that up and keep expanding our reach in the South Bronx and other communities.
Elizabeth McCarthy, we got to leave it there. Thank you so much for being with us, CEO of Sheltering Arms. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All righty. Well, I want to let you know that if you want more information, what you can do is visit their website, and their website is shelteringarmsnewyork.org. Once again, shelteringarmsnewyork.org.